What's up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. In fact, welcome to PCP Movie Nights, where we gather every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time to talk about the movie of the week. And we are near the end, but this is the penultimate episode of Crew's Choice. And tonight was our friend Link's pick. That's right, Stef picked a movie I never even heard of from 2018, Bad Times at the El Royale. It's got a stellar cast. I was really intrigued when I saw this movie be picked by our friend Link. So let's go ahead and bring him in, the missing Link himself, my man Stef. What's up, homie? How you doing?
What's going on, my brother? Happy to be here as always. Happy to bust your cherry. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad. I was shocked that because Stu hit me up earlier, foreshadowing. He let me know he's seen it, but I was kind of like curious about who'd seen this or not, and I'm glad so many people hadn't seen it. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. I think it's a fun first time watch.
You know, speaking of not a first time, but you're popping a lot of cherries tonight, all at one time, bro. That's what's going on tonight, man. I was really intrigued, and let me tell you something. I think this is your first Crew's Choice, right?
Yes.
And bruh, you picked a banger. Very excited. Speaking of banging, it's Verno from Blood Splatter Chatter. What is up, homie? First time watch for you.
Oh, you stepped on my cherry pop, man.
Ah, shit, I'm sorry.
Happy to be here. Happy to have my cherry popped. Excited to talk about this. This will be a fun one. We got a fun crew as well.
Yeah, we do. Speaking of fun, part of that fun crew is Brooks. What is up, homie? How you doing?
What's up?
You excited to watch this? Talk about this movie that you just watched recently?
Yeah, I actually am.
Wait a second. You actually are excited to talk about this film as opposed to, say, Children of Paradise or Akira or Blue Velvet or something like that? All the other movies we've covered?
I wouldn't say more or less excited about this one, but I am equally excited about talking about it as those movies.
Good. I set him up perfectly. All you had to do is be like, yes. All right. We also got Joe Corallo in the house. What is up, homie?
It's true. Yes. No, I'm here to talk. I am interested in talking about this movie.
Okay. That's a good way to put it. And fresh back from Charlotte, North Carolina, and visiting Heroes Con, it's Stu from Dr. Doom's fan club. What is up, homie?
Guys? So glad to be here. Talk about the Pervert Hotel, as I so fondly remembered. So yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, speaking of pervert hotels, right, Stu? Nice to have you here. All right. So I had never heard of this movie. And like when Stef picked it, I looked it up and I saw the movie poster and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people in that movie. How have I never heard of it? I looked it up. It's written and directed by Drew Goddard, who did Cabin in the Woods, also did a lot of TV work on some of my favorite shows, Angel, Buffy, Lost. He did Cabin in the Woods, which I absolutely love. He, of course, wrote Cloverfield and The Martian. Like, I love his work. And I'm surprised that this one went way above my head. And then I thought, oh, it came out in 2018. I looked at my life in 2018. It made a lot of sense. That being said, when I found out this movie was almost 2.5 hours long, I was like, what the fuck, dude? You know, but we did cover like a almost 3.5 hour long movie about a French mime in love that was filmed in black and white. And that movie was great, right? And so was this one. I really liked it. I thought it was incredibly awesome. I thought it was well crafted. I loved the structure. I do think that maybe it is a tad long and it feels long towards the end, right? I heard one podcast say it has Return of the King syndrome, but not as bad as Return of the King, where it doesn't have like 5 extended endings, you know, or whatever. But like Brooks is getting mad down there. You see him? Brooks is like, don't talk about the ending of Return of the King like that. That's a cinematic masterpiece. But I loved this film. Yeah.
How dare you?
It has a lot of comparisons to people like Quentin Tarantino, right? In particular. And that makes sense because the story goes non-linear at times, but I don't really feel Tarantino vibes. And knowing Cabin in the Woods in particular, I'm watching this movie and I look over at the person I'm watching it with and I'm like, yo, are they in hell? Is this hotel hell? Like I'm trying to figure out some kind of twist or something, right? And there's so many great characters in this movie, great performances as well. The movie looks magnificent. It is so flawless the way it looks. The music, whether it's the soundtrack or the score, is top notch. And I think it's got some rich themes that we can dive into. But Steph, I'm telling you, I really liked this movie. So well done, my friend. Link, you picked it. What do you think about it? What's your overall thoughts? What's your history?
I'm right there with you. I love this movie. I knew about it because of Drew Goddard. Okay, so Joss Whedon, when he did like the Buffy reboot, topic, like the season 8 or whatever, Drew Goddard had done like an arc I really liked, and so I was looking him up, and I found he had done, like you said, like Lost, Angel, stuff I also really loved. So I kept an eye on him. He did Cloverfield, and then I also loved Cabin in the Woods. So when I heard he was like finally writing and directing his own movie, I was excited, you know. And then when I saw the cast, Chris Hemsworth, I'm great, huge Jeff Bridges fan. So that was just like a win for me. So I saw it and I loved it ever since. It's like it is, you know, I could see why people would compare it to something like Pulp Fiction in a sense, you know. It's got those vibes, but it is its own beast at the end of the day. But yeah, love it.
Hell yeah. I really liked it, man. It was a great pick, and I'm very surprised, man, that if I would have been more conscious of what was going on, and there's personal reasons. I was with a woman, right? And I was at the tail end of like a 12-year on again, off again relationship, and I wasn't paying much attention to movies because I was not in the greatest place, right? But man, this movie would have been one of my favorite movies of 2018. In fact, I got to look at the list of what came out in 2018 because it might be one of the best films, I think, of that year. What about you, Verno? First time watch. Steph's pick. That's our brother. What do you think about the film?
I think exactly a lot of what you guys said. First of all, it's not surprising that you didn't see it because I looked and there's like a $32 million budget and it made 31 million. Which sucks because I feel like it's super unseen. It was a massive flop, and oh god,
it went up against that movie. What's that movie about Neil Armstrong or whatever? Was it The First Man or something like that?
I don't remember any kind of marketing for this film at all either. Like I don't remember any trailers or any. Nothing at all.
I'd never heard of it until Link pointed it out. But yeah, no, same thing, dude. Right off the bat, I thought Tarantino. Like it's got a little bit, not like heavy with the dialogue, although the dialogue is like super good. More just like with the style. I watched it with my wife this morning because I forgot that we were doing this until you sent the fucking email, Robbie. Which I'm super glad.
Honestly, you were the backup pick, and Jelani messaged me the other day and said I can't make it. So I was like, I'm just gonna act like Verno was supposed to be here. I bet he'll just be like, "Oh fuck, I'll watch it."
Yeah, I didn't know. I remember saying I would do it. Sorry, my kid just walked in here, of course. But I loved it. I thought right off the bat, it's super intriguing. It's very mysterious, and you're kind of hooked in right away, character after character. And then partway through the movie, like 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, let me make sure I pay attention to the music. And there's no need to do that. It's good. You're going to notice the music. It was great. Super good music. Very entertaining. Yeah. I agree. It could have been a little bit shorter. It maybe ran a little bit long. I enjoyed the first 2 acts better than the third act. I'll just say that. But also it was funny. Really kept me guessing, kept me surprised, and I'm going to go try to do something with this kid. I apologize.
Hell yeah. Speaking of doing something with this kid, Brooks, what about you, man? What'd you think? First time watch for you?
Yeah, like I don't remember this movie either. Which is surprising because the cast is like, you know, crazy. Like, you know, like it's got Jeff Bridges, it's got was it Dakota Johnson, like Hemsworth, like, you know, it's a killer cast. But like I can see why it wasn't a success because it is a very artsy kind of you know, it's a movie made for the love of the movie, you know. It's not a movie that's made really to draw in the crowds. But like the first time I watched it, I kind of felt like it was like, you know, it kind of reminded me of like Pulp Fiction and like even like The Hateful Eight a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the second time I watched it, and I feel like I've been bringing this movie up a lot lately, but it felt like Dead Man to me when I watched it the second time, like, you know, because I wanted to rewatch it because, you know, when you watch a movie that had like kind of a mystery element to it, you kind of want to rewatch again to see if it holds up without, you know, the shot of solving the mystery. And I think the movie was better on the second going because, like, you know, once you understand the characters and their motivations and you watch it again, it's like a whole different movie, you know. not like it's not a different movie, but it feels different. It's like, it alters the experience. So yeah, I was surprised by this one. Like I figured it was going to be good, but like I really did enjoy it.
Hell yeah. What about you, Joe? This was a first time watch for you, which is surprising because surely they had a fancy showing somewhere in the city of New York. So.
Oh, sure. But, 2018 was actually a really good year for movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Hereditary, Black Klansman, which is excellent. Love, Simon, which I really like. A lot of good things came out in 2018. But yeah, no, it was like first time watching this. I was really into the first act, and then the movie kind of started falling apart for me after a while. But we'll get into that later. But I am glad I watched it. I love the genre, so it's always like bonus points. It's easier to watch things that are like sort of like default genres, like noir, neo-noir kind of stuff is stuff I tend to gravitate towards, which is also why I was surprised I didn't hear about it. But kind of like what Verna was saying, it like went under the radar. No one really, it didn't perform at the box office. And for me personally, after watching it, in the beginning, I was like, for the first maybe like 40 minutes, I was like, this is like a 5-star fucking movie. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? And as the movie kept going, I was kind of like, it's not that it's bad, but then I was like, I see why it didn't hit those same levels or enter the zeitgeist in the way that maybe some other similar movies. Like, I'm trying to think. There was another movie like that for me with Brie Larson. It was like a Boston mafia movie. It might have been 2016 that they were like, and it takes place entirely. Yeah, Free Fire.
Because for me, it was. I thought that one was okay. I thought that one was all right. I only saw it one time though. I got to give it a rewatch.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also only saw that one time, and it's a movie that like I enjoyed seeing it in the theater, but I was also like, I get why no one's talking about that. but
yeah.
Okay. All right. What about you, Stu? You're the only person here, aside from Stef, who had seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about it?
I texted Steph like halfway through it and told him, I forgot how good it was. I think it's like you guys said. I think I agree with what Verno said. I think the first two acts are incredibly intriguing, well paced, great ensemble performances, great. A lot of themes going on. I like the way that the mystery kind of comes together and you slowly learn these characters' backstories through little bits and pieces. And the way that I just love the way they're slowly introduced. I think, for the most part, that really sings. One of the highlights for me was the dialogue. I thought the dialogue was really sharp, really well written. A lot of really great. Some of those quiet scenes we got after all the kind of wildness of the first act, when those characters are having conversations, I thought were some of the best parts of the movie. And in a movie that's got some great action and suspense. So yeah, man, I thought it was great, and the music, of course, is great. I love the way. From little things like Jeff Bridges' mask during the bank robbery to just the way the hotel's put together. I love the set. It's just there's a lot of TLC behind this one, and you can feel it. So yeah, Jeff definitely enjoyed the rewatch and coming back to this one.
Hell yeah, and it's got a great cast. I mean, first of all, the characters are incredibly well written, and I will agree with you. I think Drew Goddard. I think one of his strengths is dialogue. I mean, if I look at his work on Buffy, which is mostly season 7, Angel mostly season 5, Lost kind of sprinkled throughout, right? And then look at even Cloverfield. Cloverfield could have been one of those movies that could have been really boring because of the way it was shot, but the dialogue in that movie really like pushes it for me. And I think the dialogue in this film is great. And I think all of the delivery. I don't think there's a bad actor in this movie. There's not a bad performance. So we really got a plethora to choose from. So let's talk about this cast, because a lot of them took a pay cut to make sure this movie could reach its vision, right? Which is very interesting to hear. They had a lot of faith in the script when they initially read it. So, Steph, you picked the movie, so you get to go first. What's a performance you want to highlight?
This, like you said, there's no bad picks because everyone brought their A game in this. But for me, I got to go with my boy Lewis Pullman. I specifically feel like this is something some studio exec saw or something. It was like, you know, your mileage may vary. I enjoy Thunderbolts, but you know, I think that this is like one of the roles that got him looked at for the century. But you know, I've seen him in other things, and he plays. I don't know. He's just very timid and nervous, and it comes off like really organic, you know. But I've seen him in other things where he plays really cool, calm, and collected, and that seems just as convincing. So like for this to be the first thing I saw him, shout out to his dad, Bill Pullman. But for this to be the first thing I saw him in, I know it's always left a mark. I've always been really impressed that, you know, he like one of his first roles was this timid, nerdy dude that was secretly a badass, you know, but he's also been a badass in other roles. So Lewis, I got to give it to Lewis Pullman. I love the character Miles. It's probably my favorite.
Dude, he's a great character. He's kind of like the heart of the film, right? You know, he like his story is thread throughout, and you really don't see the completion of his story until the end. I mean, that's true with all the characters for the most part, right? But like his story really gets revealed more throughout the course of the entire movie. Now, I liked Thunderbolts too. I thought it was pretty decent. I thought it was fun. And because initially they had the dude who played Glenn in Walking Dead cast as the Sentry. He had to leave. Then they cast this dude. I was like, I have no idea who this dude is. I've seen him in nothing else. Then you find out he's Bill Pullman's son. But I thought he was great in the Sentry. And so when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, holy shit, that's Lewis Pullman. And my girl was like, who's that? I was like, it's Bill Pullman's son. He played the Sentry. I don't know anything else about him, but really good in this film. What about you, Verno? What's a performance you want to highlight?
It's really tough, man. I'm sitting there looking at him. There's so many, I could talk about any one of them, but I will actually go with Jon Hamm, Dwight, whatever it is, the secret agent CIA guy, because right off the bat, I'm like, this is gonna suck. This guy, I'm like, his fake accent with the way he's yabbing and blabbing and talking, I'm like, oh god, like you're really hamming it up, Jon Hamm. And then I start to wonder, like, is that a fake accent? Is that what he's doing? And then when it's revealed that it is a fake accent, then I appreciated how annoying it was and how kind of obvious it was. And I thought it was pretty cool. And he's a handsome son of a bitch. And I think he was, it really bummed me out. And for me, some of the momentum that some of us have mentioned is, as well as in Spectro in the chat, like it's lost when he gets killed, because like he's one of the more interesting characters. He's a secret agent. He's at this motel finding bugs and everything. And he's kind of the character you've spent the most time with, maybe up until that point when he dies. And I was like, shit. I kept on thinking he was going to come back with a bulletproof vest or something. And then I'm like, no, he's really gone. And so that's why I'll pick him. I thought in his limited time, he was really, really good. And I'm not even like a big fan of his. I haven't seen that show that everyone loves that he did, but he was
Mad
really good.
Men, right? Yeah, I've never seen it either. But no, he's great in the film. And you're right, dude. When he leaves, I think the movie suffers just a little bit, right? Jeff Bridges' character kind of takes over a little bit, I think.
And he is the best. I mean, honestly, Jeff Bridges is my favorite character, but I'll leave him.
We're all being nice tonight. What about you, Brooks? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I like Boots. Like, you know, I kind of like, complicated, you know, like I don't like her, but like, you know, I think she's an interesting character in this movie. Like, like she's like it's like you don't like. It's kind of a roller coaster with it, because at first you're like, you know, she seems like she's a victim. She's been kidnapped by this crazy lady and tied to a chair. And then you learn that they're sisters, and you learn that, like, I guess she murdered somebody or something, and
she like killed her parents or some shit.
Yeah, like she murdered somebody. Like they don't really.
I think it's implied that she killed the parents. Yeah.
Wow, I missed that.
Oh yeah, that's why she has the boots, because it's her father's boots. Oh, it makes sense now. Yeah, but like her relationship with Billy Lee too is like, it's you know, you've seen it, like everybody's seen it before, you know, that kind of relationship. But like it's weird because she's like this easily led kind of like lapdog, but at the same time she's like this weird, vicious, like crazy, like psychotic. So like, you know, like it was sad though that she killed Miles. I was like, oh man.
Well,
but, you
know, I
the way it is.
Boots,
right?
That was my backup character, by the way. But no,
she's like the Joker.
I've looked her. Yeah,
She's an agent of chaos. She's swinging from
Yeah, I love the
chandeliers
swinging
and
from the
stuff. I
chandelier.
love that. Yes, it's so
I
perfect.
thought she was like the one who most effectively brought the Manson family energy to the
Yeah.
film. Like
Yeah.
they were trying to
Yeah.
do that a lot with Hemsworth, but I thought she was like the tie that binds in that sense.
Mhm.
What year did Once Upon a
That's
Time in
a-
Hollywood come out? Because that was close, right?
Yeah.
Right
It was
after
a-
this.
this came out before.
Oh,
I think.
2019.
Yes, this is before.
2019.
Yeah. I saw that in theaters, and it was in 2019. So yeah,
Yep.
that came out after. It was probably in development already,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
like
Very interesting. That's a
That's a chick
super
from,
cool character.
Alien Romulus, by the way. If you guys shout out to that,
Oh,
I didn't. I had to look
Oh
it up.
yeah.
she's the lead,
Yeah,
right?
Good call.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that, man. I bet I'll be watching movies now, being like, "That's Lewis Pullman." Holy shit! What about you? What about you, Joe? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I guess Darlene Sweet. Obviously she's just been in Wicked and all of that, and she has an incredibly high profile at this point. But I think she did a very good job in a lot of the scenes, conveying, even when she wasn't talking, like, why the fuck am I here? I could have gone to another hotel. Like, she was like the only one who really wasn't there hiding out from anything, or like she had a gig soon, and you feel the most sympathy for her, I think, out of everyone in this movie. Like, she's the only person who's like not like a complete scumbag in some way or another, who's not a scumbag and hasn't killed people, I think, is the
Right.
Yeah.
way to sort of go about it. So like that worked for me. The singing, incorporating that into her character, obviously she's a good singer. But yeah, and she just, it made sense, a lot of what she was doing to a point. Like, she did try to escape. They do at least show that, because obviously, why wouldn't she try to escape? But yeah, I'm going with her.
Yeah, great pick, man. She's another
Yeah.
actor that like I wasn't super familiar with until recently because of Wicked, which is really good.
Yeah.
And in 2018,
Yeah.
she did this movie, and dude, her singing's right there on the nose, man. Like, it's so good, man. It pissed me off so much when Chris Hemsworth, Billy Lee goes, "I've heard better."
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, "You son of a bitch."
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she puts Phil Collins to shame.
Speaking of putting Phil Collins to shame, this dude punched Phil Collins in the mouth one time because he hit on his wife. Stu, what about you,
Whoa.
man? What's the one that you want to highlight?
Right.
I'll just play off Joe's pick, man. I'll go Jeff Bridges as Father Flint. Our shaky heart of the movie. I just, from the very beginning, what does she ask him when she first sees him? Are you lost, Father? Something like that. And I just love the journey he's on for redemption, trying to, reconcile his own guilt. And he has so many of the heaviest scenes in the movie with various characters like Lewis Pullman. Obviously, Darlene and him have, so much of the bulk of the movie. One of my favorite lines in it is right before she sings. He's talking to Hemsworth. He's going to do what he do, but he don't deserve to hear you sing. I love that line, man. That was one of my favorites. So, I think just, Bridges brings that emotional authenticity that you don't get out of a lot of folks, and especially in a role like that where he's an aged bank robber trying to make right on his partner and his homie's death. Was it his brother? Were they related?
His brother.
His brothers. So
Played by Nick Offerman.
yeah. I don't know. You felt that the whole way, and it was just really cool to see his flip of the character. I thought, Jon Hamm was really cool with that corny accent, and then, finding all those wiretaps and stuff like that. But I thought it was also cool, him digging up that room. And then there's that great shot where Jon Hamm's walking back through and he's just standing in the hole defeated. It was great just kind of watching his whole development and the relationships he formed with with the characters throughout the film. So definitely
Oh,
Jeff
yeah.
Bridges deserves a shout out.
Jeff Bridges is definitely my favorite performance. And like he does so much in that movie, man. There's
Yeah.
like the way he's handling like the dementia and the way he feels about that and like the helplessness. It's coming across, and some of that's told, but most of it's shown just through like little ticks in his face and shit. It's amazing. So out of everybody left, I'll go with Chris Hemsworth as Billy Lee. Very charismatic, just him chewing scenery, dancing, acting sexy, Charles Manson, Jesus Christ superstar, you know, doing his fucking thing. And I love the bit when he's at the roulette wheel and he's like trying, you know, like basically playing God, like choose, you know, red or black and all that shit. Like, I don't know, I thought he was rather intense. And Chris Hemsworth, like when you see him, like he's in that latest Mad Max movie. What was that? Furiosa, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was amazing in that fucking movie,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And he's doing the same
best
shit.
part.
He's like chewing scenery. He's like being very flamboyant, very fucking outlandish, and just it fucking works. It's like Jason Momoa in the last Fast and Furious movie or something, man. It's just he's just hamming it up even more than Jon Hamm, I think. And I like it, man. I like it. I think it's good. Style and structure. I think the style is top notch. The cinematographer of this film is, I didn't look this up, Seamus McGarvey, who has done films such as Godzilla, the new Godzilla, 50 Shades of Grey, The Accountant, Life, Greta, The Accountant 2. So yeah, he's done some decent stuff. The Hours, High Fidelity. Wow, he's the cinematographer of High Fidelity. That's a great movie. We covered that on PCP Movie Night Cruise Choice about 2 or 3 years ago. It was Jelani's pick. Great fucking movie. Anyway, the movie looks beautiful. And the set, right? Somebody mentioned the sets already. I think it was Stu, like the hotel. And like, I love the way it's divided, the color palette between both sides. That also kind of corresponds to the color palette to each character. Each character has their own color and it's associated with their motives, whether they're hidden or whether they're obvious and things like that. So style-wise, I think it's beautiful. I love the way it's shot when the camera moves, everything. The pacing is tight for the most part, but the story to me does lose a little bit of steam in what I consider an overextended third act or a third act that feels overextended, right? Once all the secrets are out, it's like you're almost waiting for one more big thing, and the movie gives enough space that there should be like one more punch towards the end. And I don't think we really quite get that. We get the emotional punch with the reveal of Miles's character and his past and the completion of his story, but we don't really, once everything's laid out on the table, then it kind of becomes a little bit mundane. I think they should have saved one good like twist or turnaround for the very tail end of the film. That's the only problem I really have with it structurally. Style-wise, I think it's great. What about you, Link? What do you think style and structure?
I'm right there with you. Stylistically, it's chef's kiss. It's just great to look. It's very entertaining, fun, enticing to look at. Structurally, I really don't mind too much, but I do agree. Like, there's something about the third act, and it's I don't know if like I would have like switched Miles' reveal at some point or moved that up sooner in the script, or maybe like Billy Lee's backstory I might have moved a little sooner, because they do like this weird thing where they show Boots' backstory and Billy Lee's in it, but then it's like, you know, that would have been a perfect time to just kind of link the two together if you're introducing Boots' backstory and, you know, show Billy Lee or whatever at the same time. I don't know. I just thought that those were two, because by the time they revealed those, you're kind of like, oh shit, you know, we're still doing backstories. That's kind of how I felt with on this last watch. I don't mind it too much, but I do think like for the flow of the movie, they could have been tweaked a little bit, but it's just it's a minor nitpick. I wish we could have seen a little bit more on certain, like specifically the sisters. I wanted to know, there was backstory there, but I don't know. I've seen this movie a few times now, and it's like every time Dakota Johnson gets shot, I'm just like, really, that's it? You know, like you didn't know your sister hated you that, or didn't give two shits about you that much. You risked your life to end up getting killed, and there's just, I mean, that is
Well, it's
that's
like
life sometimes, but
it's like it's revealed like that she ratted her out to her father too. Like, you know, when it shows her as a kid, like trying to protect her from their father. Like it shows at the end, you know,
yeah.
the father picking her up. Like it's kind of implying that, you
Taking
know,
her-
she's been betrayed before by Boots.
Mm.
But it's like, you know, it's kind of one of those
Okay,
things, you know,
okay.
blood.
See,
blood is
I
thicker than
thought
water.
like did they didn't explain it, but did you guys get like the hint that like Dakota ran away from home, or like initially, and then she like left her Boots there with the dad alone? You know, and that's kind of like that's why I think like Boots had an issue with her sisters, because like you kind of that was the situation, right?
Yeah, no, it had to be. That's
Okay.
I thought
I
that
thought
was
the
pretty
situation
clear,
was
yeah.
she left, and then the young one killed the dad, and then she went and
But-
took her or something.
Yeah,
like that.
she killed the dad after the
See-
years of abuse, and
Yeah.
As one does.
But when did she go to? Remember, she went and like met Billy Lee and them, and almost got inducted into the cult. She was you know, that was before she killed the dad, though, because she only took her sister once she did the killing. So it's like she
I
almost
think
like
Boots
she joined up.
Boots left. She ran to California after she'd done the murders, and she met up with Billy, and then like that's when the sister came and found her.
That's why she has the boots then.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
the sister didn't know
She
about.
said, "These are my
How did
daddy's
sister
boots."
find out about the murder?
I don't know, Steph. You picked the
I mean-
movie. You've seen it more
No,
than anybody.
I'm not just maybe you guys noticed and I didn't, but I don't think the film necessarily answered that. But there's just certain things I would have like a little bit more backstory on certain characters. But overall, I think it's, you know, it's minor nitpicks. They do it well, even though it does feel a little bloated.
Okay, hell yeah. What about you, Verno? Speaking of bloated,
Just going off of what you're saying, like my issue with that would be with Jon Hamm's character. He's the one. I know I already mentioned it. When he dies, I'm like, what the fuck? But I feel like, and I've only seen it once, there's a lot of questions left dangling there that I really want answered about the CIA and who owns the motel. I assume they own it. They're the ones running all that. That is where I thought that big third act reveal was going to be something that kind of like links some more of these stories together or whatever. But
I almost got the feeling that like what Jon Hamm's CIA or something.
Yeah.
And then maybe the hotel's the FBI or some shit like that. Like I almost feel something like that's going on. And did anybody got an answer? Who's the person, the celebrity on the tape? It's JFK, right?
Not JFK.
Yeah, it's got to be JFK.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
Yeah,
What it felt like to me.
And that's what's inside the briefcase in Pulp Fiction is that reel of tape right there. So now
There it is. There it is.
Yep. All together.
Yeah.
But I would say this is what I was thinking. Like the first two acts, if I'm thinking of it correctly, there's no villain. Like everybody that's doing everything, even if it's kind of heinous, it's because of their fear or out of, you know, some kind of motivation that is paranoia or something like that. And then in the third act is when it becomes a regular movie and you introduce a villain that's the real bad guy that's causing everything. And that's just why it's a little bit less interesting than the first two acts. To me, it would have been awesome if they could have pulled off. Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't want to say the movie that I'm thinking of. Fuck it. I won't say it. There's a movie recently that came out, a horror comedy, where there is no villain. At the end of the movie, you're like, oh, fuck, we were all doing that because we're fucking idiots. And that would have been amazing to pull that off to where there is no actual villain at the end. I know I'm
paranoia.
I'm teasing you, but I don't want to spoil that movie.
So I know the movie you're talking about. Yeah. No, I saw that too.
Yeah. But style-wise, I don't really have anything to add other than what you guys did. It looks great. I love the idea. I don't know if I fully understand all the symbolism behind it, but the California Nevada thing. It's just like it's a cool thing to put in the movie. It's a cool way to visualize like the difference. I love when Pullman's kind of giving his spiel on the difference. It's $1 more to stay in California and shit like that. It's really a cool little thing to be in the movie.
Hell yeah. What about you, Brooks? Style and structure. What do you think?
Well, like you know, at first it does kind of jump around, like it does a time jump in the beginning, which can be annoying to me sometimes, but if it's done right, I think it works. And I think they do it good in this movie because it's about building the characters. Like they jump back, they're not just jumping back just for style. And it's like, you know, it's giving you information on the characters, and then you know, eventually the timeline like evens out. So yeah, like I said, like this movie, like thematically it reminded me a lot of Dead Man, and like, you know, the idea of like, you know, a kind of place that is it like what it seems like, you know, the whole idea of the border, I think, is like, you know, kind of like the border between like, you know, maybe this world and the next. Like, you know, it's like there's a lot you can read into this movie on the second time. Like I would recommend watching it twice. Like if you know, if you like it, of course. But yeah, so like, you know, the music of course is great too, you know, and it really does capture that era, you know, it feels like it, you know, and like, and the characters are all great too. Like, you know, I think everybody does a good job. I love that Jon Hamm just gets like taken out in the first act. I thought that was so hilarious. And it kind of lets you know too, like, you know, that it gives you that impression that nobody's really safe here. Like anybody could get shot anytime. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Hell yeah. What about you, Joe? What do you think?
Well, first, before I get into too much of my thoughts on the style and structure, since it's apparent that no one has the courage to say this, the title's just not that good. I think that also contributed to it, because like it sound like Bad Times at the El Royale sounds like a Zach Galifianakis, Amy Schumer 2011 comedy. Like it's like the Royale, you know, like you kind of think like, I mean, obviously I knew going in that this was a neo-noir film, but it's not a good title for a movie like this.
And it's like a comedy title almost.
Yeah,
like,
and
like
it's
Big
a
Trouble
very
in Little China.
like, yeah, but it's a very sincere movie for the most part.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like it doesn't work for me in that. Like I am not deducting points from the movie based on that, but it's just like I couldn't go on without saying that, because like, and I rarely say that about the title of a movie. Like something really has to jump out at me for just be like, it just doesn't work.
That's a fair point, but I feel like the title does convey the overall movie. You know, like it's bad times. That, you know, whether they be naughty or fucking getting sawed in half with a shotgun. You know, it's bad times at the El Royale.
Yeah.
But I do
in that case, it's still, yeah, it's a little bit of an understatement, but but yeah, like
along those lines, I don't like the cover art. I think the cover art hurt the sale too. I hate the you know what I mean, the art for it. They could have done
kind of like Star Warsy.
Yes, it is. What are they doing?
With Chris Hemsworth. I feel like there's a way you package this movie and you trim 15 minutes from it and it makes 80 million at the box office, you know? Yeah. Like I think that could have happened here. But like style-wise, I like the style. I kind of wish it was more stylized, because there are points in it that like when Jon Hamm just walks out to the telephone booth in the middle of the parking lot, I thought it was silly. I thought it was shot in a way like, but if you did a stylized, like you're already in the telephone booth and Jon Hamm goes in and like grabs it and call like that, like that wouldn't have pulled me out of the movie, because it's like, this is very silly. Like having a phone booth in the middle of the parking lot is basically like telling everybody this isn't a real motel. This is run by the government. Like it just feels off. Like things like that, you know. But like you get that, and then so yeah. But the style, like it mostly works for me. There are moments like that where I feel like stylistically they could have made better choices. You know, but there are great shots of the motel itself. There's a lot of good shots and scenes, but especially like you have all of these cutaways, so there are more sets. It's not like they were just working with the motel set and the parking lot. So it was bizarre to me. Also, like, why didn't he like go farther away to make that call? Or like, I don't know, like there were just like weird things like that, which then goes into like the structure, and a big part of why it goes down for me after Jon Hamm gets killed, because like before that, this was a 5 for me. I'm completely enthralled. That's when it started jolting me out of the movie around there, because it's like you're shooting him and the door is open and there's other people here, and like it's a very loud gut, like just like then it started doing things like where it's like Dakota Fanning's like doing so many things so the movie could happen in ways that like other characters aren't. I feel like there's motivation built in with a lot of these characters on why they're there. The two strongest, which are the two we really get the most of, which is, really, really good, is obviously, Jeff Bridges and, was it Cynthia from, Wicked, like Erivo, yeah. Erivo, yeah. But like to me, they're really strong, focusing a lot on them. They have some of the, if not the single strongest reasons, like outside of Miles, who works there, but you know what I mean, in terms of like characters who are there, they have sort of two of the stronger reasons, which is funny because one of the reasons is coincidence and the other one is all the backstory here.
I also feel like they're like the only ones who aren't like killers, to be honest. Like, yeah, I can only assume we don't see Jon Hamm kill anybody, but I can only assume as a CIA agent, he's got his hands dirty, Dakota Fanning, maybe she's killed someone before, because
it's Dakota Johnson, by the way, everybody.
Oh yeah,
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. That's what I meant.
Dakota Fanning's a way different person. But that would be interesting if she was in this movie.
They both, yeah.
Like the Apple probably with the boots, the reason she was a killer, like it probably like what Chris Hemsworth say to Dakota Johnson. She was like, the killing didn't start, or the violence didn't start until you, and he was like, maybe not, and it was like, maybe it was already there. Like maybe the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, because she had no problem sawing Jon Hamm in half, and he was doing it for altruistic reasons. She thought he was a creep, but she had no problem taking him out really quickly, like she'd done that before. So begs the question, maybe she had.
Right.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you have that, and then you have a lot of the stuff. It's like she kills this guy. Clearly, she doesn't care that much about this, and it's all important. And it's like she went through all that trouble to tie up, her sister and do all this stuff, and then she leaves her sister before restraining her next to a phone. And then we're supposed to be shocked that she calls it. I know we, the audience, aren't. We see her make the phone call, but you know what I mean. And then, like, it's like she cares, and then she's just hanging around, running around anyway, and she's kind of like, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? We all get killed. That was weird to me. It didn't make sense. And then she finds out, she finally gets back to thinking of, Jeff Bridges and Cynthia, like after a little bit, which makes sense. It's a stressful situation. She was running around doing all these things. So they have this elaborate plan of he's gonna do this thing, crawl under and try to get the case out, and she's gonna sing to cover it up. And it's like, Dakota Johnson could fucking come at any, like, first off, why do you think after she mowed someone down with that gun that she wouldn't just kick the door down and shoot you? Number two, how are you so confident that you're doing this while she's not watching? Like, because she could catch them either as Jeff Bridges is going in or setting up, or as they're getting the case. Cynthia she has no idea when Dakota Johnson's leaving. Like,
yeah, I thought that during that scene. I was like, how do they even know they're there? Like, I don't know. This seems very elaborate.
Yeah. Like that.
Maybe
that didn't make sense. And again, like it kept. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was gonna say maybe they thought they were like, it is, could be explained better, but in the turmoil of all that, like maybe they thought like they're so busy, they just shot a guy, and then Miles had gotten shot in the process, so maybe they thought they'd be so preoccupied with that give them enough time to go. I get what you mean because how did they
Yeah.
know? Like at any time, the chick could have busted down the door, or she could have shot through the window. You know, she
Yeah.
could have just blasted in through the window if she wanted to. But
Yeah, and like
giving a little bit.
she's a legit singer and is so quick to just be like, all right, I'll steal money with you on my way to this act in a way that was also like, you know,
Hold
it
on,
was a
wait
bit
a
of-
minute. I meant to.
it's not the worst sin, but
I want to ask you guys about Cynthia Erivo's backstory because I thought it was like implied that she had done something to that record dude, like she stole from him, or I mean, he deserved it, but like I
didn't get that vibe. I
She
just got the
was-
vibe that she
yeah.
was just knowing and feeling like she was always going to be just kind of like a for hire singer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
when she
treated-
was
treated
when she
wrong.
first pulled up to the hotel when she was signing in, she was like, there's like a news broadcast or whatever. They're talking about something and she like turned it off really quickly. Like, I mean, it could have been anything, but
yeah,
everybody in that film was running from something, like
Yep, absolutely.
yeah, but like,
and it's weird
and
because she
then
had the two
ending-
bedrolls thing. They brought up that she had two bedrolls. Like maybe she was planning to go through with the tryst with this guy.
well, the
But, like,
idea
you
about
know-
the bedrolls is that she puts it up to
The pad
soundproof
walls.
the videos when
Yeah.
she the rooms when she sings.
Yeah. So she's all in on singing, but like why not do something like it seemed like the movie was setting up? Okay, she's gonna steal the money, but like, why would she then go perform? It's like she should be in a position where she's called out or whatever and doesn't show up, and like, so like
Because she
you
sings
know,
for love
again-
of singing, Joe. And so even when she has
then why
money, she
is
still
she
wants to
doing
sing.
this? But then
Why
why would
would-
she?
Why would you
don't-
take the money,
don't
Joe, and still
steal
write
all that
comics?
money.
Would you take the money and
If
still write comics, Joe?
No, I wouldn't take the money. Because it's like it's known. They're like, okay, a federal agent was there, so it's obvious, and Chris Hemsworth knows, like, it's obvious people know important shit's there. She was there and it burned down. If I was somewhere where Fed agents were and it burned down the next day, I don't know if I'd show up to that gig. I mean, best case scenario, she is being sat down for questioning. Like, there's just no way.
they had no clue
They
she
burned
was there,
it.
though.
John,
Everything went down.
John Hamm looked at the ledger and she signed her name on it.
They
He's
burned
dead.
the ledger.
They burned it.
They threw that in the fire. They threw the ledger. That was one of the that in the tape.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Jon Hamm saw the ledger in the beginning of the movie. We're assuming that we've seen every interaction he had or the entirety of every conversation with the
You think
government.
he gave the list to the government or whatever agency?
Why did he make it a point to look at it in the beginning if he wasn't telling them the name of the people who were there? So obviously the government would know.
I don't
And
know
if
if it's
he
obvious.
I think the storyteller wants us
Yeah.
to believe that they're scot free.
But like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, again, like, if he got killed before he conveyed any communication to the government, sure. How bad are you at your job if one of the most basic things are we watch him look at the ledger? We didn't even have to have that. We could have done this or that, like, instead, but like, again, like, it's just these sort of things with the structure of the movie
That he
take.
he looked at the ledger when he was like investigating. I get what you mean, but it's like he kind of just he was being nosy because that's after he took all the wiretaps out of the phones and he goes and discovers the back rooms and shit like that. He's just inquiring like what else
he's
is
not
there?
he's not there to be suspicious of these hotel guests. He's there to pull their surveillance out of that room. That's why he's so insistent on getting in that one room. So why does he care who's there? Like, he probably wouldn't have reported.
He made it a point
he made a note
the...
in case he needed to know, but I don't think he would have told Home Office or anything like that.
Who doesn't tell Home Office the people you're surveillancing?
He did.
At the site?
He said that he said that there's like a kidnapping going on, and they said the dude who was on the phone was like, "Fuck that. We don't act on that. We want you just to focus on the job." And so it's like he was trying to tell them about it, but they didn't want to hear it. Like maybe he would have told them more had they like, what's going on, a kidnapping? But they said, we don't care about the kidnapping. Just get the surveillance and get out. And he went against that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the whole place was bugged, so they also would have known a lot of these people were here too. Like,
I think just that one room was bugged. I think they bugged that one room for one specific guest.
Yes. Yeah.
He said it was a special room.
Yeah, but
it was the room that they recorded whoever having the sex tape on, right?
Yeah,
sure. The room that Jon Hamm.
Well, the idea is that they could record any room, but that one in particular is like the room, right? It's the room that Clark Kent and Lois Lane got in Superman 2, where he reveals his identity. I think the big thing that we just learned in that segment was that if Joe Corallo wins the fucking lottery, he's not writing a comic book again. Period. He's like, I'm done. I'm out.
No.
What about you, Stu? What do you think about the style and structure?
I love this. I love the style and the structure. Like I said earlier, for the first 2/3 of this movie, for sure. I think stylistically, I loved early on just that whole long silent shot we got with Jon Hamm discovering all the ins and outs of the hotel, discovering that back corridor, how we kind of learned about these characters as he's going through each of these windows. We get to hear Homegirl sing for the first time. It was really a unique way to present that, like through the audio in the room. And I thought that was just really intriguing, enigmatic scene, really well done, that really draws you in early. And then I liked something I wish they would have played more was showing the same event from different people's POVs. Like I thought that was pretty cool how they walked us through that for a minute, but then they kind of abandoned that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. And that mystery played out, because it felt like we were going full on like Twilight Zone ensemble mystery until it kind of turned into something else when Chris Hemsworth showed up. That was kind of my problem with the structure. I felt like it kind of dragged in, and my problem with Lewis Pullman's character and that reveal was, his death was supposed to be like kind of the emotional anchor of that second half, and I just felt like we didn't get enough time with to sit with that backstory he had to really have like emotional investment in it. Like I think it would have been better to kill off Darlene or Father Flynn and have that be the emotional like high point of the movie, as it were. But that said, man, I thought Lewis Pullman left it all on left it all out there. I thought he gave that death everything it needed to really pull you in. So despite it being a little wonky and off for me, I still thought they did a decent job pulling it off.
No, you just reminded me of something. It just dawned on me, because that always bothered me. Like Lewis, the whole Empire was like, you just did all this badass shit only to get taken out so easily by Boots, and it's like, what dawned on me last night was like the whole time. It's like that weight on the Vietnam War was tearing him up. Like he wanted forgiveness, and he had never been able to, like, everybody he killed in Vietnam, everybody he'd seen do heinous shit at the hotels and stuff, he never been able to apologize to anybody for any of that stuff. Like Boots was the first time he had seen the reaction of what his killing does to, he already kind of felt it, but that was the first time he got to like witness that. So I feel like other times that really bothered me. I was like, you're such a dumbass. Why would you get caught off guard like that? But this time it clicked with me that it was like that emotional weight. It was weird, because it was almost like cathartic for him in a sense, because release. Yeah. He was really looking for that, and that like he had that. It unfortunately was like it led to his downfall at the same time, but that he had never been able to put like a visual picture of someone grieving over all the people he's killed, and that was like the first time for him. So pretty good. Right. It was better for me, I'd say.
All right, not to bring this back up again, but Introspect's got a good point here. Nobody knew about the money but the priests. So the feds don't know about the money at all at this point. Like Jon Hamm's character never knew about the money. Nobody knows about the money except for these two.
Yeah.
No, but like,
yes, that's true.
I get. Well, Miles knows about like learns about over the
When he
course
dies.
But, like it's but no, it's but they did know that the tape was there and the tape is gone. So they would be looking for the tape.
Everything's burned. It all burned down.
Yeah.
You don't assume a tape is gone. Like
The whole everything's burnt down. All the tapes.
That specific tape that they do all that build up for, they're not gonna look a little bit for
everything's burned down though. What are you looking for in the ashes? Like everything's burnt.
And there's no way they could tell that anyone escaped with the tape. No
Robbie,
one
what do you
would
think about
burn a
what do you
place
think about
down
style
and
and structure?
steal
Robbie?
something from it. Like, that's one's ever done that before.
I've already given my thoughts on style and structure. Let's talk about the music. The music in the film. Of course, it's got a great soundtrack, which is amazing. This movie is set in 1969, January, I believe. And the music is time appropriate. It's cool. It's like songs that feel familiar but aren't familiar to me, but I really like it. And if you really listen to the soundtrack, you see that the songs are picked very well thematically as well. But the score is done by Michael Giacchino, who we know from doing work on Lost, who did work on so many great shows, Alias, like the same stuff that Goddard worked on. And then he started working in film with like The Incredibles, Sky High, Mission Impossible.
Didn't you do Werewolf?
Sky High underrated.
Ratatouille. I'm getting there. Speed Racer, Star Trek, Up, Land of the Lost. And then even more, continuing with Mission Impossible and Star Trek and Planet of the Apes movies. But then he got his first shot at directing something with Werewolf by Night, which Stu is a big fan of, and me too. So this is also the director of Werewolf by Night, which... Why has Marvel not done a follow-up to that? It was literally their most successful thing they did for a 4-year period. But anyway, I love the music. And if you listen to the score, it is haunting yet hopeful at the same time. It is a score that, at least for me, I can listen to on its own. I really love Michael Giacchino's music. I think it's amazing. Everything that he's been a part of. Lost is one of my favorite shows. The music is a big part of that. He's bringing that sensibility here, and his music also fits the thematic meaning of the story, because part of the theme of this story is a religion, God type thing. It's there, right? And if you listen to the score, there are like bits that sound like a church choir and something very like metaphysically religious or spiritual or something like that. So it's really an interesting score, and it's really good. One moment in particular is when we're getting the flashback of Jeff Bridges and his brother and the other dude robbing the bank, the aftermath of that. The music is so chilling and cold and haunting in that one moment. And it's not the kind of score I would pick for that scene, but it made it have a different impact, at least for me. Link, what do you think about the music in the film?
Real quick, you reminded me of, do you guys think that like after that crash happened, like Jeff Bridges was having like a Alzheimer's moment? Like, or do you like, because when he was like, what's the plan? And Jeff Bridges kind of like stands there for a second. He's like, turns around, he's like, get out the car. And he comes up with this plan. Like, it could just be him coming up with a plan, but I kind of caught it as like he kind of like realized real quick, oh, I just had a moment, like where I just kind of woke up here, like, what the fuck's going on?
Could be it,
so he's just like, okay,
I think
a liability.
I think he was deciding to take the rap because he knew that truck wasn't going to make it, and he was talking about leading the police and trying to take. And then we did find out he ended up getting locked up for it, and his brother, I guess, ended up getting killed at the meet. So I think it was like him, deciding, knowing that if he left his brother in the truck, he was going to. So he was trying to give him the best chance. To
that's how I read it.
I think it was the best of, he was trying to pick the best evil because he knew what just went down wasn't right, and he's scared to leave his brother and these guys' company. Really, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't trust what's going on here, but he also didn't want him to go to jail. So
I could see that. Score, it was amazing. I got more brownie points, the fact that it's the dude from Werewolf by Night. But I think the music, like the score was very good at like enhancing the themes and the emotions in this movie. Like it was very it's thematic. I can't find a better word, but like the song that Chris Hemsworth is dancing to, like it's, if you're like listening to the lyrics and stuff they're playing on the jukebox, like a lot of those songs are fitting to the situation or the feelings that are going on at the time they're being played. So that's a very, that's not an easy thing to do, to like, score was great, but especially with like just your pop songs, to have those fit a certain vibe, or have them fit a situation and still apply. That's a hard thing to do, and they did it quite a few times and quite well in this movie. So I thought it was amazing.
Oh yeah, Verna, what do you think? What do you think about the music? And carry us on through, brother, real quick.
Carry us on. I thought it was fire, man. I thought the woman whose name we've all struggled with, I'll just call her the woman from Wicked, Darlene Sweet, Cynthia Erivo, I guess. She's incredible. Yeah. I thought first of all, she was a great actress. Whoever picked her, great call. And all the acapella music that she was doing was so goddamn good. And I love that a lot of times they would let her go. You know what I mean? These 2-minute long like songs. So good, especially when they did it where Jeff Bridges they're timing it out with their claps and he's doing the hammering, digging in the floor. Like I love the way like it always fit. It never felt forced. She sings in the movie 4 or 5 times and it never feels like a musical. It always sings like, she's a singer. She's practicing now. Hemsworth told her to sing. She's working at the end. Like it always fits within the movie. And then a lot of what Robbie said, all those songs, like I know, but I don't know many of them by name. You know what I mean? That one that she sings for Hemsworth towards the end, I just adore that song. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know that song, the name of that song. It's so goddamn good. But it was great. A lot of just to add on to what Robbie was saying about the score and Link, like a lot of heavy drums, like something I'll steal from Robbie, a driving score, driving it along and like adding to the mystery with them with like a touch of fun. You know what I mean? When Jon Hamm is doing his thing, like the score is really kind of like whimsical and fun there with the neo-noir feel and everything, a little thriller. Like it was a lot going on in the music at the same time, but still remaining fun. But what did you think, Brooks?
Yeah, like I really like the music in this movie. Like the score is pretty good. Like I think it has a good atmospheric score. Like it's got its moments, but it doesn't. I think the Motown stuff is really where the music shines through in this movie. And like I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the songs from this movie. Like my parents were like they grew up when Motown was still like a big thing, and so like I was pretty familiar with most of the songs in it. A lot of them like I'm more familiar with covers. Like You Can't Hurry Love. I'm more familiar with Phil Collins, of course. Yeah. But it's one of those music genres that like is so. It's almost timeless because it's always being like covered and like redone and like modernized. So like but it still feels fresh. Even the original versions, like they're still a little rough, but that's just Motown. It's just part of the sound. And I love that they threw in that Deep Purple song "Hush" too. That was like a cool little like classic rock twist to throw in there too. So it was it was a great soundtrack. I thought I really loved it.
Yeah, be careful, Brooks. You can't mention Phil Collins around Stu, though. I thought we already covered it. What about you, Joe? What did you think about the music?
Yeah, I liked it. It's it really doesn't overwhelm the movie, except in the few moments where we're supposed to be paying 100% to it, like when Darlene's singing, and I think for me those moments, those Motown moments where she's singing. And it's like, a tense scene, all eyes on her. I think those are some of the best scenes in the movie, just how they play out, and some of the best sort of music in those scenes, because it's just so like raw, bare, and focused. And I think all of that really stands out with this movie and helps the movie music sort of shine through.
Oh yeah. What about you, Stu? Boo?
Yeah, I think Verno said so many things I wanted to say about Darlene's performance. You know what I mean? I think that was like the highlight of me, all those acapellas, especially the one in the room when they're pulling up the boards and she takes off her hair, and it's really like I just love the stripped down emotionality of that.
Dude.
For me, one of the go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, me and my wife didn't realize she was the woman from Wicked until then, and my wife's watched that movie like 100 times. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I know that voice.
Yeah, sorry.
Took off the
No, you're
mask.
good. And then I just wanted to shout out the flashback scene when they're in the studio, and we kind of get that original Motown composition, I guess, for the film, like with the horns and all. It was just so fantastic, so good. Didn't feel like cheesy or out of place, felt like so original and authentic and of the time. And yeah, and I just want to shout out also that jukebox. That was such a beautiful piece of machinery. That thing, I just love that scene where, you know, one of those of the period you know, Motown songs came on and we got that slow pan away of that jukebox. That thing was just gorgeous. So all of it just helped to build that world so well, and also really provide like a emotional structure and kind of framework that carried it all the way through. So I thought it was definitely like one of the stronger parts of the movie for me.
Bruh, when that jukebox came out, I looked at my girl and I was like, man, those jukebox that had like the water with the bubbles.
The
that would,
bubbles,
like, go around
bro.
and shit, dude. Oh my
Sick.
god, I love
So
it.
sick. I know, Sam.
I thought Robbie was about to tell us like his age when one of those jukeboxes came out.
Yeah, so did I. When that came out,
That's right. I thought that was going.
We're all very close to the fucking same age, y'all. All right, so, but my uncle did run a moose lodge here, and they had one of those jukeboxes, and it was like, it's just a very nostalgic memory for me. But I'd like to get one of those for the house, you know, whatever.
Same.
I don't have any 45s to put in it, but
Sexy.
whatever. Let's go.
Same.
Fine.
I need one.
If we were an average movie review show, we would end it right now and start rating the film. But we are the pop culture philosophers. We like to dive a little bit deeper. In fact, we like to dig in. We like to dig, I guess is what I was trying to say. That was a weird thing. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, what is the theme of this movie? What is it saying? What's the message? Whatever. It's all about, it's art. It's subjective. It's what it's saying to you. You out there in the chat, what's this movie mean to you? Steph, kick us off here on the panel.
With so many themes in this movie, but I think one of the bigger core themes is you have to address problems. You have to address issues. You can't run away from your problems. They'll catch up to you eventually, and in the worst ways. You got to confront shit. That's it.
You're right about that, man.
Oh, yeah.
100%. You know, you can't be like an ostrich, bury your head in the sand because the world keeps going. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. What about you, Verno? What's the movie speaking to you?
I was waiting for, speaking of ostriches, or so I felt a segue coming, but I guess I missed it. I think, I mean, there's a bit about like shades of like a spectrum of morality, you would say, or whatever. Like everyone's done something, but like there's nuance to it. Whether there's not, somebody said earlier about Jon Hamm, well, he doesn't seem like a villain. It's like there's no pure villain in this movie other than,
well, he's a CIA spook.
Yep.
right?
You know, like,
Well,
he's not a good guy.
Exactly. Yes, but nobody is other than Hemsworth.
Even Chris
and
Hemsworth.
Billups. He's got some good in him.
He believes he's not doing it to be a bad guy. He believes what he's doing is he's justifying, but it's like he's not. I'm gonna cause havoc to cause havoc.
No, he believes in no morality. He believes it's all a sham.
With abs like
Yes.
that, you can believe whatever the fuck you want. If you're gonna wear your pants that low, I mean,
In 1969 in California, if you look like that, bruh, why not start a cult? I don't know, man.
I called my wife back in. She was in the kitchen. I'm like, "You're gonna want to see this. Well, you better get back in here." Chris Hemsworth is doing this fucking dance. But what was I gonna say? There's the other thing is like the bigger thing, I guess, to me is that nothing is what it seems, or nobody is what they show on the surface, at least. Jon Hamm's a CIA. Everybody's got something once you dig a little bit deeper. Every situation isn't what it is at first glance when you see it. The bellboy, everybody. Even Darlene Sweet, she doesn't. That's not her fucking hair. You know what I mean? Even she isn't exactly what she's showing on the outside.
Yeah, and the hotel the same way, right? The hotel's not what it seems.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I dug out of it.
I'm kind of frustrated because you literally stole the words of my thing. I literally was going to say the spectrum of morality.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no shit. That's what I was going to say, man.
You had that phrase lined up.
Yep, I sure did, man. No fucking lie, man.
That's funny.
All right, Brooks, what about you? What do you think the movie's saying to you?
Well, I think like one of the main things of the movie that caught me was guilt. Like particularly in the like Miles is probably the most like glaring example of it. But like every character in this movie has a certain degree of that, guilt about something bad that they've done. Probably the one who has the least is Darlene, which is why like, the way when I watch this movie, like I feel like, the hotel is like the gates to hell. And like, the more sin you have, like you get sucked into it and you die. That's why like everybody dies except for Darlene, who is like, she's without guilt and sin that she can walk away. And Jeff Bridges' character feels like he kind of cheats his way out by giving Miles his last rites. That's how he earns his way out of hell, even though,
Well, that's one of the
normally he
things about
should.
the spectrum.
He wasn't.
Well, it's one of the things about the spectrum of morality is that they're both good. Like they're the most good. They're the best people in the movie, right? Like they're pretty good people, honestly. But like,
Yeah.
And
Billy to me seems
just because he's a
like
criminal
the
doesn't
devil.
mean that he's a bad person. That's part of
And
that spectrum of.
he never
morality
wanted to
that
kill
we're not
people.
supposed to-
like when they turned the truck over during the bank robbery, he was worried about what happened. He's like, he was worried about the outcome of the drivers' lives. He's like, Jesus, what did you do? He would. So like you said, just because he's a criminal doesn't mean he was a killer.
He was gonna
Yeah,
drug
that's right.
Darlene, not kill her, to get in the room. Like
I love how honest he is about
That
that
is
too.
pretty bad.
well, he wasn't gonna kill her though. That would be way worse.
We're even for you bonking me on the head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well said, Brooks. What about
yeah,
you,
like,
Joe? Oh shit, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brooks.
And it's like Billy, the character Billy, he seems kind of like the devil almost. Like, he's out in the world, like, spreading his message of, nothing matters. And, nothing matters. Like, there is no guilt. There is no sin. It's kind of like that idea of like, how the devil can do what he does because he doesn't have guilt. He's not weighed down by that. But in the end, he does have to go back to where he belongs. So like, that's kind of like why at the end, like, everybody plus Billy ends up dying because, like they're pulled in by the black hole of their own guilt and sin. It's like the Jacob's Ladder thing, like if you're afraid to die, all you'll see are demons trying to tear your life away. But if you learn to let go, the demons turn to angels and free you from the earth. So like, the guys who had the more guilt, even Miles, weren't able to like, escape it. The gravity of the gates of hell was too strong. And it pulled him in.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Two Gun Patriot just sent me a package today. In it was a VHS copy of Jacob's Ladder.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Hell yeah. And Buckaroo Banzai. Anyway, what about you, Joe? What's this movie speaking to you?
I think the movie is really talking about like truth isn't important. Action and chance are more important than truth. And as the story progresses, you really do see sort of what's true becoming less and less important to everyone involved. You start the movie off with people, being honest, writing their names in the ledger, and Dakota Johnson, who's the most obvious, person who's not, being honest with people. It starts with her writing, fuck you, and, not being forthright with who she is. And over the course of the movie, the other sort of personas strip away for the audience. Shortly after that, Jon Hamm's revealed to not be who we think he is. Not long after that, Jeff Bridges is revealed to not be who he is. And so truth sort of just whittles away over the course of the movie until all you're left with are chance and action at the end, which sort of all comes to the climax where truth fucking means nothing. And they're pretty direct with it too, where when Sweets says to Billy Lee's face, like, I do not care about the truth. It is like what's happening now, the actions we're in, is all I care about. And I think that's a pretty good takeaway.
Hell yeah, I like that too. What about you, Stu? What you think?
Man, I think this one says so many things, right? But I think for me, it's all about belief in redemption and the second opportunities that we get in life. And I think the theme of being on one side or the other plays heavy in this movie with, whether it's the literal line drawn down through the middle of this hotel, or just like you guys said, the spectrum of morality, all the different shades of gray we see. But I think there's a lot of people who have given up on themselves in this movie, and a couple who haven't. And I think it's interesting to see. I think it's really Miles, Darlene, and Father Flynn who are buried under so many things, but still fighting to get out. And then I think there are other characters have kind of resigned themselves to who they are, and so it's kind of interesting watching those two forces kind of revolve around each other. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said with faith here, obviously with Father Flynn, and crises of faith. But ultimately, to me, I think it's all about redemption and whether or not you believe in the power to rebuild yourself. So that's what I took away from it.
Hell yeah. I love what everybody said here. I think you've all been very profound and well thought out in your patterns of thought. The one thing that hasn't been said is what I wanted to say, which is I think this movie is about the spectrum of morality.
Just doubling down. I respect it.
I think this movie is about how there is no black and white, right? There is 50 or more shades of gray in between. Right? Jeff Bridges is a criminal. He's a bank robber or whatever, right? That shit's insured, right? Right? That's a victimless crime, kind of, in a way. He's not trying to kill people, right? You got the singer. Did she do something to that dipshit producer? She probably should have. I don't know if she did or not, but whether she did or not, she is seemingly a polar opposite of the Jeff Bridges character at the beginning of this film. They wind up being, for lack of a better term, the heroes of the film for us, right? Jon Hamm's character, skeevy, slimy agent, or a stand-up good guy who goes against orders to try to save a kidnap victim based on what he saw. Also, perception's a big part. I love what you were talking about, faith and redemption, Stu. What you were saying about truth, Joe, and how it really is not as important as the now, the present, right? And what everybody was saying, it's all there. There is also a thinly veiled thing about religion, right? Because there's a lot of crosses in this movie. Billy Lee is a very Christ-like character, portrayed very Christ-like in a way. He's always doing the Scott Stapp, it's like he's the lead singer of Creed, he's got a Christ complex, my sacrifice.
Maybe Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose.
Yeah, well, yeah, that whole thing, Superman, he's he does it too. But like, and I love what was that Brooks that was talking about Billy Lee possibly being the devil, right? So like, what's the difference between the devil and Christ? Right. And I'm not trying to stomp on anybody's religion. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just having a thought exercise. Like let's look at the line between, right? Polar opposites are basically almost the same idea, which to me means let's go back to Brooks 5 years ago. Every movie was about authority. This is an anti-authority movie, man. Whether that authority is religion, however you perceive it, right? Whether it's your job, whether it's the government, whether it's that shitty husband you got, or that shitty girlfriend you got, or whatever, right? Whoever
Bill
you place, Bill fucking Collins, whoever you place that authority to. Why? Because I think one of the crux moments of this film is when Billy Lee is having the two girls fight, and he goes, "They're fighting because I told them to, and now I'm stealing all of their stuff."
It's a good message. that's kind of a good message moment for him. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's showing them exactly how things really work. Like,
Government.
you know, they get you to fight while they go and they take your stuff and they watch you and they laugh.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of makes him a little bit endearing, just a little bit.
That's what I think about this movie. I think it's kind of got one of those, like, Brooks, you remember that when every movie we were watching for a period of time you thought was like an anti-authority movie?
Well, sometimes they are.
I mean, they really, yeah. I feel that way with this one, man. And
Maybe you were just picking a lot of anti-authority movies. Maybe it was your phase and not Brooks's phase.
Maybe it was, man. Maybe it was. But no, it was real fun, man. And anyway, most movies could be viewed that way, man. Fuck the man. You know what I'm saying? You know? So anyway, I think that's what the movie is. I really like it. I think it's pretty solid. Now it's time to rate this film out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat and in the comments, if you're watching on the watch along, let us know out of 5 you digs. What do you rate the film? Link here, your movie. Kick us off.
I would give this one a 4.75. I think that any problems with this movie are very minor and minute, and it kind of boils down to preference. This movie's damn near flawless. Amazing cast, everyone gets to shine. You know, that's kind of rare in an ensemble movie. I wanted to spotlight a scene real quick that I really loved because it really, like, there's subtle things in this movie that will, like, kind of tune you into these characters. But like when Miles is talking to Dakota Johnson, I was going to call her Fanning, and he's like, what am I going to tell him? 2 girls? I don't even know your names. And then she's like, I'm Boots. And then she's like, this is my sister Emily. It was such a vicious, like, oh, she wants him to get killed. Like, she knew what she was doing, you know, but there's so many, yes, whilst having a grand old time, you know, but there's many moments throughout that, like that throughout the movie that are just, you know, it's a craft. And, you know, anything that's, a lot of things boil down to preference, but I really do think this movie, you know, that especially, Brooks, you said it perfectly. I think this is a movie that warrants multiple watches because you will get an entirely different experience on the second watch. But based on a first watch, I think this is going to leave a lot of people like, shit, this is what movies should be like, you know? So I think 4.75.
Hell yeah. All right. By the way, I just want to point out that for 2025 Cruise Choice, Stef is the first person to pick a movie and not give it a 5. Let's go. All right, Verna, what about you? Out of 5 you digs, what do you rate Bad Times at the El Royale?
Real quick, just a few quick things that I wanted to say that I never got to earlier. First of all, and many of you probably noticed this, my wife pointed out to me, and now I'll never look at Jeff Bridges the same. He doesn't rest his tongue in his mouth. Like when he talks, like when we talk, when you stop talking, your tongue goes to the bottom of your mouth. Jeff Bridges, it just floats there. And it's like part of what gives him like the way that he sounds and the way that he looks. He's always got his mouth open and stuff. But this is something to notice about him. Keep an eye out for it. The other thing, this is just another random thing with like, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, I think Joe, you mentioned something about these quiet scenes or somebody did. Like there's something about like movies. Like this is like a day in a life type of movie where it all takes place in one day. And there's sometimes where that day seems like too long or too short or something like that. And like I noticed something like when there's these scenes of dialogue that don't have music and they're done right and they're spaced out properly. Like I feel like that's what gives a movie a sense of like time. Like these dialogue heavy scenes with no music and like they're sprinkled out in here. Like you really feel like you spent the night with these people. And I love like when movies do that. And the other thing quickly is that Dakota Johnson I think she's good. I think she's a good actress, man. She hasn't been in enough stuff that I've seen that's good. I didn't see the new Marvel thing. I think because she did 50 Shades of Grey, that people really like dismiss her. Oh, she's the girl from 50 Shades of Grey. And she got naked too much.
You got to see her. See her Spider-Woman, bro. She's amazing.
Is she? I believe it. I totally believe it. I thought she was excellent in Suspiria. Oh, really? She's not good in it? She's great in Suspiria. I'll just say that. Like watching that, I'm like, dude, she's a fantastic actress. I thought she was really, really good in that.
No, if you guys, I saw this movie recently called Peanut Butter Falcon, the Shia LaBeouf movie, but I didn't know she was in it, and she was in it. Like she's a Falcon, like the bird. She was phenomenal.
I'd also like to point out that Suspiria remake came out in 2018 as well. So
there you go.
Not as good as the original.
No, not as good as the original.
I agree. I agree.
but very good. Or it's got its issues.
Mhm.
It's got the issues that this has, but 10 times. It's way too fucking long. This one's just a little
So
too long.
what did
Yeah.
you
I'll
what
give
did
it
you rate peanut butter
I'm-
fucking?
I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 with room to grow on a first time watch. I could enjoy it more or
Solid.
potentially even less on the second one, but first time a 4. My wife, she loved it too. By the way, just throw that in
All
there.
right. For you digs from Verno. What about you, Brooks? What are you thinking?
Well, like I love this movie. Like I think I like it more because of my interpretation of it. Like like I said, it reminded me of a Dead Man, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, I'm gonna give this
It's
one
your
a 5,
cruise choice.
Like,
Dead Men was a couple of years ago.
yeah,
man.
it was my
That
first cruise choice.
Yeah.
So
My
yeah, I'd give
first
this
time
movie a
watching,
5.
I loved it, man. That wasn't
Yeah.
your first one, man. Your first one was Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Dead Man was my
Oh,
second.
Was I on Dead Men? I think I remember that one.
I don't remember.
Feels like a movie you would have been on.
Yeah,
I
seems
forgot. Let me see.
like a Joe Corallo a movie. Joe Corallo would be into.
Yeah, I might have been.
Yo, did Brooks? Did you say 5?
Yeah, I gave it a 5.
Fuck, a
I feel
perfect
like
score from
based off
Brooks.
Double Dragon. Can I go back to 5 just based off the Double Dragon Brothers?
He feels guilty.
Yes, you
Yeah, he
can.
gave it a bogus 4.75,
Okay, I'll go
which
with
doesn't
that.
exist. So just let him get rounded up.
Yeah,
Thank you,
4.75.
thank you, Brooks.
I appreciate you noting that it doesn't exist. 4.75. It doesn't exist, right? It's like Blade
Yeah.
3. That just doesn't compute here.
Yeah.
All right. 5, a 4, and a 5. What about you, Joe?
Yeah. But before I go into that, I have to say, I love when you have a disrespectful guest on here that does something like, I'm going to give this a 3.15. Yeah, here's why. And you're just like, what are you doing? Like, but for this, I'm with Verno. I'm going to give it a 4. There are some things that don't quite work for me. I do think it doesn't, like, it dips after a certain point, but there is a lot to like about it overall, like the first act and just overall with the acting and the direction, the cinematography, the score, keeps it going. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Hell yeah. What about you, Stu? What you say?
Yeah, I'm right there with Vern and Joe. It's a 4 for me. I think it's it falls short a little bit in the structure and the length for me in the end, but I think it's a super intriguing and a fantastic movie for 2/3 it. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. A 4. I give it a 4 out of 5. I really like it. I do think it just maybe lags a little bit too much towards the end. But man, I was really impressed with this film. I thought it was really solid. And I think it's, even though, Joe, you went through that list of 2018 movies, I still think it's one of the best. Not the best. I think Hereditary is a better film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
But
say Hereditary.
I would rather
yeah.
watch this one, drinking with the homies than Hereditary. Hey, let's pop in Hereditary and just randomly watch
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
no, for sure.
But no, it's one you got to pay attention to. It's got layers to it. Maybe it doesn't hit all of its potential. I don't think it's as good as Cabin in the Woods, but man, it's pretty freaking solid. And I want to see more from Drew Goddard writing and directing his own films. Like,
Absolutely.
let's do it. And the thing is, Cabin in the Woods didn't make a whole lot of money either. I don't think. I think he kind of became more of a hit after the fact. So, fuck, we got a cult classic director here, and I just want more films from him. That's what I want. So a 4 from me, Verno, Joe, and Stu, and a 5 from Link and Brooks. It's a PCP average, 4.3, 69 dudes.
Bruh.
Station. All right. Cruise Choice ends next week with Verno's pick. Verno, this is your first Cruise Choice pick too, right?
Best movie of Cruise Choice. Boom. I fucking said it.
Stand by me. There we go. I've
go.
been just subtly giving Verno a lot of shit about this pick, but
I can
man, I'm
handle it.
really, really excited to rewatch this film. It was one of my favorites when I was a kid. So join us next week here on PCP Movie Night for the finale of Cruise Choice. Verno's pick, Stand By Me. And then after that, it's on the Action Fest, baby. Link, thank you so much. What a great pick. What a great conversation. What you got coming up? Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I don't know. Fuck you guys. But this Thursday, we will be. No, I love you guys, but we will be returning Thursday night on Blood Splatter Chatter for 28 years later. I'm excited. Been waiting over 20 years for this sequel to an extent. So I'm excited to. This is gonna be a good conversation. So I'll be there Thursday night.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Verno.
Same, brother. Back to we experimented for a bit. We were on Wednesday afternoons. We're back on Thursday nights where I can drink alcohol and have maybe a little bit more fun. So yeah, 28 years later on Thursday.
You tell me that a horror show on Wednesday afternoon didn't quite work?
It's tricky. We all got to work around certain things, but no, we're back at nighttime, and then we'll be back on the afternoon on Sunday where you'll be there, Robbie, to continue the series where we're doing Masters of Horror, 2 episodes at a time. Got a couple big ones doing John Landis's Deer Woman. And then what a lot of people say is what I think Robbie has said is one of John Carpenter's greatest things he's ever done is Cigarette Burns, the Masters of Horror episodes.
So I have said that. I'm very eager to rewatch it. I rewatched Deer Woman last night, and dude, I just fucking love Deer Woman. That one really knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
It really knows what it is, and dude, those are 2 of my favorite episodes of Masters of Horror.
Oh, yeah, this will be a good one. Sunday, 1:30 Central Time. Be there.
Yeah, very excited for that. Brooks, we love you. Thank you for being here. Jelani couldn't make it. So go figure reviews. Why don't you tell us what you guys got coming up?
Yeah,
I'll help you out with some slides.
Yeah, Blanca versus Sagat. That was one of the last ones we did. Those are both really nice too. Like I've been loving all of these Jada Toys Street Fighter figures, but these 2 in particular. Oof, boy, that Blanca, bro.
The Blanca, yeah, he was
good.
Sick.
And we also did the X Factor Jean Grey, who was like a Walmart exclusive or whatever. But Mike got me one, so we did a little thing on it. So yeah, you can check that out. This is like Go Figure Reviews, I think is what it is, something like that.
If you got any mods in the chat, throw out the Blood Splatter Chatter link, throw out the Go Figure Reviews link. That would be dope, man. So Brooks, let's be honest, man. How badass was that Blanca?
Oh, dude, so awesome.
Probably one
you can roll them up in the ball.
Oh, you really?
Yeah,
that's sick.
I want to get the Blanca just because that's my dude in Street Fighter. But I know if I get the Blanca,
that's how it goes.
I know how it is, man. I know how it is.
My wife I've got one Michael Myers NECA. I have one Michael Myers NECA, and I keep it that way. Then my wife just bought me another one. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, now I need them all. Now I have got 2. That's weird.
I got 2 Jasons, and I keep going, I should get them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you wake up one morning and your entire wall of Michael Myers figures is just staring at you with dead eyes.
I'm doing these shows with you, Verno, of Friday 13th, and every time I'm like, every Jason is different. I need Baghead Jason. I need part 3 Jason. I only have part 4 and part 7.
I've got
which are my 2 favorites. But
Baghead and 7. Two of my.
I have NES game Jason.
Oh no! Now I have to get that one too, man. Joe, thank you so much for being here. What you got coming up, my man?
Well, this week or last week, the King Arthur That's Justice Volume 2 Morgana's Revenge came out. Is now available. So feel free to get that from your shops. Thank you.
Right there, bro. Look at that.
There. Thank you. No, that was really fun to do the 10-page Rachel Pollack tribute story from DC Pride last year's in the hardcover that came out to the farthest reaches. So you can catch me there. I'm in the Young Men in Love anthology through Wave Blue World, which is out now. You can get that. My story with Chase Bluestone got a shout out in the New York Times, which was fun. So yeah, and I have more stuff on the way, and I also have a pre-launch page for a Kickstarter. Thank you. It's linked to the top. It's queer comic book thriller that I'm doing with Chase Bluestone. It's based loosely on a story that Rachel Pollack had told me a while back about a horrifying rich British politician and what he did to some male escorts. So. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I put the link out there in the chat. Everybody go check that out. Sign up for the pre-launch and let's make it
Thank
big
you.
when it happens, Joe. Very excited for that, man. I've seen
Thank you.
you've shared some stuff and
Yeah.
it looks pretty freaking cool and
Well, thank you.
very awesome. Stu, what about you? What you got coming up, boo?
Yeah, man. Ink and Insights every Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be on the Dr. Doom's Fan Club channel this Wednesday night. So check that out. Me and my boy E going over, I don't know if we'll be talking Heroes Con or new comic books, but either way, come check us out. Surrounded by Short Boxes drops every week, covering my favorite back issues and what I love about them so much. Just dropped this Untold Legend of the Batman. John
Nice.
Byrne's first work with DC. Yeah, I love this book. So check that out. And yeah, then Thursday night, man, can't wait to get back to it with the fellas talking about 28 years later. So check us out on Blood Splatter Chatter at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yeah. There's supposed
Thanks
to
for
also
having
be a monthly comic book review this week. We haven't
yeah.
set it all up yet, but
Are we doing that Thursday night, right? Or
allegedly, we'll see. I don't know.
Sure.
I guess I should address the chat. I've been
Sure.
avoiding y'all because I didn't want to be jealous.
You're
Y'all being
busy
a Heroes
Thursday,
Con.
Stu. You're gonna have to postpone that. You're busy, Stu.
Bro, we got the show good, man. We could do a clean 2 hours now, man. We're good, man.
Boom.
Until we start jumping on somebody like Greg or now everybody's on Power Fantasy. I'm kind of disappointed. Anyway,
gotta read it, bro.
I will. I got the trade.
You're gonna love it. You were gonna love it. I promise.
All right, coming up to next week. Stand by me, Stand by me here on Pop Culture Philosophers. We also have a 10th anniversary stream on July 2nd. It's a Wednesday night. It's gonna be a big, fun celebration of 10 years of PCP. So we're putting that together now, which means that I need to start messaging people and let them know that it exists. But anyway, so that's going on. We got lots of fun stuff. We're dipping out. Thank you all so much for watching. Link, what a great movie.
Yeah,
Verno,
man.
Brooks,
Great pick.
Joe, Stu, love you guys. Love you out there in the
Thanks for
chat. We're dipping out.
Station,
And
y'all.
my final thoughts. I'm trying to remember a line from the movie, and I can't really think of one. So just
What
Bill
is this?
Collins.
The Pervert Hotel?
Bill Collins. Bill Collins at the Pervert Hotel.